It all starts 10 years ago, when a mysterious fog popped up out of nowhere all over the globe. Countless creepy monsters were hiding inside, just waiting to make their move. Relentlessly, these creatures started wiping out humanity. The destruction in the cities was massive, and total despair quickly took over. Not even the absolute best military gear of the time could put a dent in them. All human weapon tech proved to be completely useless against the threat. To make matters worse, regular folks who got caught in the fog ended up petrified until they lost their lives. If they didn't put a lid on that problem ASAP, it would spread until it covered the entire planet. But right in the middle of this apocalyptic nightmare, God-blessed class holders stepped up to the plate. Archers, swordsmen, and mages with insane skills were the only ones who could actually put up a fight. They grinded in dungeons and faced the fog, which only vanished when the beasts were defeated. Soon enough, these special warriors became everyone's last ray of hope. Right in the middle of the urban chaos, a squad is trying to take down a giant wolf before things get even more out of hand. Just then, a guy takes a direct hit and gets thrown backward like a ragdoll. Taking advantage of the opening, the rest of the party charges up their ultimate moves to finish the target. The combo attack hits the beast dead-on, causing a massive shockwave. With the enemy down for the count, the team sighs in relief, totally cool with the fact that using their warrior as bait worked like a charm. They glance at their knocked-out teammate and just bounce, basically saying that being a meat shield is his only job anyway. Amidst the silence of the alleyway, the only sound is the echo of water drops hitting the ground. Aching all over, the injured guy finally manages to twitch his hand on the wet pavement. He wakes up with a jolt, taking a deep breath, totally clueless about what was going down. The MC sits up on the ground, completely lost, remembering he was just pulling overtime at work a minute ago. Looking down at his own hands, he's shell-shocked to realize that the body and face he's rocking aren't his. Suddenly, a massive headache hits him like a truck while he tries to process the whole mess. A bunch of random memories about this universe flood his brain, downloading the body's backstory. Connecting the dots, he figures out instantly that he got ice-guyed into this world and is now a class holder. He remembers the previous fight and realizes the former owner of this body was used and tossed aside like trash by his party. Frustrated, he complains that reincarnated guys usually get overpowered perks, but he just ended up as a useless human shield. However, his rant is cut short by a mysterious glowing light blinking right in his face. A screen pops up, announcing that a reward selection system has been activated, leaving him completely mind-blown. The guy stares at the screen in awe, admitting he'd never even heard of a cheat skill like this before. Hyped up, he realizes he's going to level up way faster than everyone else, making his reincarnation the ultimate jackpot. Without wasting a single second, he immediately picks a weapon and armor of the highest possible ranks that are practically impossible to find. The system confirms his wild choices and drops the ultra-rare items right into his inventory. A majestic sword suddenly materializes, giving off some seriously heavy magical energy. Gripping the weapon, the MC celebrates his insanely good RNG for pulling something so exclusive right off the bat. He guarantees that now he can take on the toughest dungeons and won't stop grinding until he's at the absolute top. Stepping out of that portal, he realizes he needs to adapt fast to the dangers of his new reality. Walking down the streets, our guy accepts that his only shot at staying breathing is to fight as a warrior. Determined, he promises himself that he'll become the strongest player out there using his new cheat codes. Sitting on a bus seat, he notices that aside from the whole monster situation, this city looks exactly like his old world. To get his thoughts in order, he decides to head home and gather some intel before making any crazy moves. But halfway there, a dangerous smoke suddenly starts swallowing up the avenue out of nowhere. The vehicle is forced to slam on the brakes as the supernatural phenomenon rapidly overtakes the streets. Panic spreads among the passengers, and the guy stands up tensed, cursing his incredibly awful luck for being there right at that moment. Knowing regular NPCs can't survive this stuff, he decides to step up and try to save everybody. Trying to do damage control, he yells for everyone to chill out and stay in their seats. Next, he tells the driver to floor it so they can blast their way out of the smoke. But a massive boom from outside suddenly grabs his attention. A brutal slash rips right through the bus's hull in the blink of an eye. With the ride totaled, the civilians completely lose any hope of making it out in one piece. They curse their terrible luck, thinking there's zero chance a high-level hero is nearby to save their bait. Shutting down the panic, the MC casually walks through the wreckage looking like an absolute boss. He tells the terrified crowd that he's a class holder and will handle the mess. An old man literally cries tears of relief, asking if the hero can hold off the beasts for a bit. Eager to test drive his new gear, the kid tells everyone to just hang tight until the rescue squad shows up. Right then, some guy grabs his shirt in sheer panic, but totally deflates when he hears our hero is only level 1. The brutal honesty of that answer leaves the dude paralyzed with sheer disappointment. Furious, the guy calls the kid useless, claiming his class is absolute garbage and they're all gonna get wiped. Totally unfazed by the screaming match, the MC just casually notes that his job class gets an insane amount of hate around here. Ignoring the cowardly trash talk, he just toggles combat mode, unleashing a super heavy aura. The ultra-rare bracer he snagged earlier snaps right onto his arm in an instant. Ready to throw down, he gets into a combat stance with a level of confidence that's honestly flexworthy. The beast that caused the wreck finally steps out of the smoke, looking like an absolute unit of a nightmare. Summoning his blade, he figures his totally broken gear more than makes up for his low-level stats. The warrior focuses all his energy, feeling like he's got more than enough juice to go toe-to-toe with the monster. With freaky agility, he launches himself straight at the target in a single bound. Without giving it a fraction of a second to react, he delivers a devastating vertical slash right down the middle. The raw power of the hit ends the fight instantly, slicing the enemy perfectly in half. Landing smoothly on his feet, he notes that even with a weak class, his pay-to-win items get the job done. The kid flashes a smirk, knowing he's going straight to the top if things keep going like this. But the zone is still hot, and he immediately dashes toward another massive creature that just spawned. In one swift, lethal motion, the hero runs the opponent clear through without even breaking a sweat. Watching the whole thing go down, the civilians are left with their jaws on the floor, wondering if his class was always this busted. With the area cleared and the crowd throwing thank yous his way, he dismisses his sword, crossing his fingers that the system drops his loot. The kid just turns his back and walks away like a boss, leaving the decimated beast behind. Shortly after, a woman inspects the monster's remains, totally mind-blown that a level 2 threat was taken out with a single strike. While the scene gets taped off, the crowd starts buzzing about who the mystery MVP was that wiped the floor with the monster so fast. One guy chuckles, saying it was just a level 1 warrior, but the kid had already ghosted the scene. Deep in thought, the woman figures the mystery hero must be holding some incredibly rare artifact. Arriving at a super rundown apartment building right at sunset, the MC accepts that this dump is his new home sweet home. He drags himself up the worn-out stairs, thinking the peeling paint in the hallway is honestly just depressing. But his peace and quiet get completely wrecked when a bulky loan shark shows up mocking him, saying he thought the kid had skipped town. Tapping into the original owner's memories, the guy discovers that the former tenant left him a colossal mountain of debt. It becomes painfully obvious the poor sap blew all his cash trying to buy a flashy class, leaving the MC to clean up the mess. Totally unfazed, he reminds the collector that the original deal gave him 3 more days to pay up. The loan shark grabs the kid by the shirt, laughing that the tab is $5 million, and he couldn't pay it even with 30 days. Keeping his cool, the MC guarantees he'll be back on the agreed-upon deadline with the cash. Once inside his dark, sketchy apartment, he lets out a heavy sigh, knowing that scraping together that much cash in 0 time is pure insanity. Right then, the phone abandoned on the floor suddenly starts buzzing. The screen displays a message board offering instant cash for rare weapons and recruiting players for dungeon raids. Reading through the listings, it clicks can use his reward system to pull a high-tier weapon and flip it on the market. Fired up, the guy gets up and decides he's not letting some goofy debt keep him from becoming the strongest in this world. Sitting on his bed, he searches his memories and remembers there are regular dungeons that are perfect for power leveling. Phone in hand, he figures that focusing on grinding levels and farming loot is his smartest play right now. But when he checks the market prices, he realizes drops from level 1 dungeons are basically worth pennies. The app spreadsheet shows that even the most hyped weapons cap out at 700,000. Bummed out by the math, he calculates that if he only raids once a day, there's no way he'll rack up 5 million in time. But then, remembering how easily he just one-shotted those giant monsters completely flips his perspective. Hyped again, he is completely sure his broken gear can handle a level 3 raid without breaking a sweat. He snatches his phone back up in a flash. Heading out into the night, he decides he's going to challenge the system the very next day to wipe his debt in one fell swoop. Morning breaks, lighting up the rundown buildings in the outer district where he needs to get to work. It's pretty obvious people prefer downtown because the high-level warriors keep the fog cleared there, making it way safer. As he walks further away from the city center, a busted-up sign warns that the danger level spikes dramatically from here on out. Strolling down a shady alley, the MC figures the loot drops must be insanely better in these sketchier zones. He stops dead in his tracks in front of a glowing blue portal, which marks the entrance to a level 2 zone. Taking the kid totally by surprise, his cowardly old party rolls up and asks if he wants to join their squad again, seeing as they need a meat shield. Remembering these scumbags basically left him to get wiped out just yesterday, he shoots them down instantly. The party leader lets out a forced laugh, saying a garbage warrior like him should be in the back washing dishes. The girl in the group joins the roast session, calling his class trash and asking if he's lost his mind trying to solo a level 3. Ignoring the haters, the guy mentally agrees that the original owner of this body really had a miserable. However, the tables have totally turned now, all thanks to his overpowered VIP system. Another dude from the squad tries to provoke him, asking if he blew all his cash on a class change card and is now working minimum wage to pay off the debt. The MC just hits them with an incredibly cold, deadpan stare. Without even raising his voice, he tells them that getting revenge for them leaving him behind would honestly just be a waste of his time. The cowards are left completely speechless and confused by the blunt, out-of-nowhere response. Watching the hero walk away, the three of them debate if he figured out he was used as bait, but shrug it off saying it doesn't matter anyway. Leaving the losers in his dust, the guy finds a massive portal crackling with energy at the end of the street. The system UI pops up, warning him this is a level 3 stronghold and asks if he's ready to start the raid. With zero other options to fix his bank account, he bravely steps right into the port. An intense blinding light wraps around his body as he gets teleported straight into the dungeon. The environment shifts instantly in a massive flash of magical energy. As soon as his vision clears, a system prompt drops the mission objective: eliminate the bandits in an ancient fortress. Scoping out the area while hiding behind a rock, he spots armed warriors patrolling the village. Curious, the guy notes that this setting literally looks like a whole different game world, way different from the city fog. His downloaded memories explain that every dungeon has its own lore and specific quests to unlock the top-tier loot. Suddenly, a bunch of other adventurers show up, naturally assuming the MC must be a pro if he's chilling in a level 3 zone. The dude with an eye patch, clearly the shot caller of the group, asks everyone to drop their ranks and classes. The squad reveals they're a rocking 2 gunners, an assassin, and a healer, all sitting comfortably at level 3. Introducing himself as a level 1 warrior, the MC casually jokes that his presence balances the team out perfectly. The guys in the party are totally shook, asking if he's got a death wish walking into a place like this with such low stats. Pissed off, the healer yells that team comp is everything, and a low-level human shield is worse than useless. But the leader shuts down the drama the second he catches a glimpse of the kid's insanely shiny sword. Assuming the newbie is just some rich kid playing adventurer, the boss decides to let him tag along purely because of his pay-to-win gear. The MC finds the logic hilarious, thinking to himself that if he actually had cash, he wouldn't be here risking his neck to pay off a loan shark. Laying out the strat, the leader dictates the assassin will scout for intel, while the warrior acts as the frontline tank. As a sweetener, he promises the healer will keep the kid's HP bar topped off the whole time. The MC immediately rejects the plan, making it crystal clear he hates rushing in blind and refuses to just be their punching bag. He knows damn well the original body owner got packed up doing exactly that, and he only has one life left to live here. The assassin gets super salty about the refusal, sarcastically asking if the rookie expects the snipers to go in for melee. Unfazed, our guy warns them he's not playing the useless hero, and tells the healer not to cry if she catches a stray hit. The super tense vibe is interrupted by a massive crash coming from the village gates. A local NPC runs toward them in full panic mode, begging for help against the raiders. The system starts a 10-second countdown as a huge wave of violently angry enemies pours down the mountain. The team instantly scatters across the plaza, getting their weapons ready for the incoming brawl. One of the gunners aims his pistol, seriously doubting these level 3 bandits are gonna go down easy. The enemies charge ahead, dodging the bullets with speed that's genuinely absurd. Watching from the sidelines, the MC analyzes that their reaction time is exactly the same as the fog monsters. Feeling the pressure, the leader screams for everyone to focus fire and cut off their dodge routes. A hail of lead absolutely shreds the bandits, dropping their frontline like a sack of potatoes in a split second. Analyzing the flow of battle, the MC realizes the enemies have crazy speed, but their defense stats are trash. Right then, one of the thugs leaps straight at the team's healer, who frantically tries to cast a shield spell. Terrified with a blade swinging right at her face, she screams for somebody to save her. Moving in a flash, the kid dashes in and parries the heavy strike using his ultra-rare sword. The clash of metals sparks heavily, proving the enemy's raw physical damage is no joke. But our hero stands his ground without flinching, effortlessly knocking the bandit back. Feeling the sheer weight of the parry, the thug stumbles back, completely blindsided by the kid's hidden strength. He starts sweating bullets, realizing he massively underestimated the guy who looked like a weak rookie. Taking advantage of the stun, the MC delivers a blindingly fast slash and deletes the enemy from the server. Watching from afar, the eye patch leader is completely blown away by the damage output of that luxury sword. But then he notices the warrior just got completely surrounded by a whole mob of bandits in the middle of the plaza. Totally chill about it, the guy just raises his blade and tells them all to attack at once so he can wrap this up quicker. Suddenly, the terrifying sound of a gun cocking echoes right behind his head. Startled by the totally unscripted noise, the warrior's eyes go wide as his danger sense spikes. Confused by the ultimate betrayal, the MC turns his head trying to process what the actual heck is going on. A volley of bullets barely grazes him, tearing right into the bandits that were circling him. To his absolute shock, his own teammates are firing right at him with zero hesitation. He realizes in real time that the snipers are intentionally using him as target practice amidst the chaos. The party leader flashes a twisted, villainous grin, making it perfectly clear this was no friendly fire incident. A literal hail of bullets hits the guy point blank, triggering the system's armor damage warning alarms. Sweating cold, he realizes he would have instantly gotten the game over screen if it wasn't for his god-tier armor. Deflecting the rest of the lead with his sword, he angrily demands to know what the hell these cowards are playing at. The gunner just mocks him, claiming the kid stepped right into his line of fire and accusing him of secretly teaming up with the bandits. Before the trash talk can escalate, a massive earthquake violently rattles the entire fortress. Ignoring the absolute garbage excuse, the MC points his blade right at them, stating they clearly don't give a single damn about team play. With a totally ice-cold glare, he promises to make these backstabbers find out exactly what it feels like to be the bait. Right at that exact second, a gargantuan iron wrecking ball drops from the sky, absolutely crushing the pavement. The dust clears to reveal a massive, chain-wielding absolute unit walking out from the dense smoke. The system immediately pings that the dungeon boss has entered the chat, flexing and insanely intimidating. The monster's horrifying presence makes the squad backpedal hard, with the leader stuttering for everyone to start blasting immediately. Popping their cooldowns, the gunners activate speed and precision buffs to try and burst down the beast. A barrage of glowing rounds slams into the dungeon boss's chest in rapid succession. But the towering monster barely even flinches, staring down the attackers with pure unfiltered rage. Watching the whole mess from the corner of his eye, the kid realizes things are looking pretty grim for those cowards. Propelled by sheer force, the boss simply launches his colossal body mass high up into the... He comes crashing down like an actual meteor straight toward the gunners who are aggroing him from a distance. The ground impact is totally devastating, launching one of the backstabbing squad members flying like a baseball. The healer curses her teammates out, screaming that just spamming attacks blindly only pissed the boss off more. Now this walking mountain of muscle is standing right over the wounded gunner, fully prepped to end his run. The monster triggers a ground smash skill and charges, making the guy squeal for someone to save him. Desperate, the leader screams at the MC to pull the boss's aggro right this second. Flashing a deeply sarcastic grin, the hero knows they want to turn him into a human shield again, but promises a heavy dose of karma. The traitor immediately smiles in relief, fully believing the naive rookie actually fell for the command. Without skipping a beat, the warrior dashes right at the danger, landing a blazing fast strike on the giant's shoulder. Bouncing back from the recoil, the guy notices that not even his broken weapon managed to scratch the enemy's thick hide. He quickly does the math and figures there has to be some gimmick or weak spot to crack this walking tank. From afar, the leader yells at him to kite the beast, completely missing the fact that the kid is sprinting straight toward them. The giant chases the warrior with absolute murder in his eyes, winding up a fist charged with massive energy. An explosive punch craters the floor right behind the MC's heels, kicking up a massive storm of dust and rocks. The shockwave catches the leader totally off guard, blasting the traitor backward with insane force. Amid the absolute chaos, the system chimes in that the boss aggro just switched targets. The beast completely ignores the kid and lunges at the down gunner with terrifying speed. The coward barely manages to roll away from a devastating stomp that turns the stone plaza into literal gravel. Seizing the moment, the MC purposely slashes the beast's leg to snap the aggro back onto himself. Flashing a cocky smile, the kid announces he's going to drag the raid boss exactly to where his fake teammates are hiding. Sweating buckets, the gunner begs him to stop running, suddenly trying to play the "we're a family" card. But the hero entirely ignores the pathetic acting and kites the monster's AoE attack straight through the traitor's formation. Dodging with perfect timing, he tricks the creature into flattening everything around the gunners who are scrambling to escape. The boss just keeps wildly smashing the zone, inflicting pure psychological terror on the backstabbing squad. Failing to dodge in time, one of the fake allies eats the shockwave directly and gets absolutely yeeted across the map. The leader falls to his knees, bruised up and shaking like a leaf, as he realizes the monster's target lock is right on him. Moving with total swagger, the MC just gracefully sidesteps while the beast goes on a rampage, destroying them. Finally catching onto the trap, the traitor screams in pure rage, accusing the rookie of setting them up. Glancing over his shoulder, the hero drops an incredibly sarcastic comment, asking if they finally appreciate someone risking their neck for the team. In full-blown panic mode, the healer and the remaining gunner sprint for their lives, screaming for a timeout. The girl reaches out, desperately begging for the giant monster to stay as far away from her as physically possible. As a Hail Mary, she pops a level 3 magic scroll in a frantic attempt to CC the boss. The MC catches a glimpse of the intense purple light flaring right in the middle of the kill zone. A cage made of pure arcane energy materializes out of nowhere, locking the raid boss and the team leader inside together. Banging frantically on the magic force field, the gunner screams for his own teammates to let him out. But the utterly massive and terrifying frame of the monster slowly turns to face the cornered player. Sweating cold and crying tears of pure dread, the coward begs for a timeout as utter despair paints his face. The traitor's eyes bug out as he faces the game over screen, trapped in the neon death box with nowhere to run. The beast finally lands a brutal finisher, and the system coldly logs out that the player has kicked the bucket. Watching the absolute tragedy unfold, the healer stammers that she just wanted to teach the rookie a lesson. She cries about not realizing her teammates were toxic enough to team kill. Our MC, however, couldn't care less about the NPC drama. He coldly calculates that the only thing that matters is dropping the big guy. Just then, the squad's assassin drops from the roof, asking if the hero still wants the smoke. The kid confidently claps back that he already figured out the boss mechanics. Drawing his blade with maximum drip, the warrior holds his ground. He makes it clear the only way to find out who wins is by catching fades directly. Inside the magic cage, the raging boss has his crosshairs completely locked onto the kid. The system gives a heads up that the shield drops in exactly 5 seconds. With the clock ticking down fast, the guy analyzes the boss's insane tank stats. He notes the thing just face-tanked high-level bullets and blades without taking a single scratch. The timer ticks to 3. The dungeon boss glares literal daggers as he revs up to break out of the energy trap. At 2 seconds left, the beast strains against the chains with frankly ridiculous power. Staying absolutely zoned in, our hero braces for the incoming crash. At the literal last second, the MC digs through his memory logs about this dungeon's lore. He instantly deduces there has to be a highly specific weak spot he can exploit. The millisecond the counter hits 0, the magic barrier shatters like glass. The walking mountain of muscle is officially off the leash and ready to smash. Timing his move perfectly with the breakout, the kid dashes forward like a lightning bolt. His launch speed kicks up a cloud of dust across the stone plaza. In a terrifying clash, the colossal monster barrels forward, wrecking the environment. But the warrior cleanly slides right under the lethal hitbox. With absolute surgical precision, he lands a flawless slash directly to the back of the monster's knee. The critical hit catches the beast completely lacking. Feeling his structural weak point give out, the giant instantly loses his balance. The hero perfectly executes the final blow as the massive enemy comes crashing down. Keeping his cool factor at max, the guy strikes a victory pose with his sword. The system immediately blasts the notification that the raid boss has been successfully cleared. Right after the finishing blow, the creature's massive carcass begins to dissolve into thin air. All of the monster's energy converts into shiny glowing pixels scattering across the map. The system pings that our warrior just leveled up to 2, dropping some solid stat points. Breathing a sigh of relief, he mentions he just won the gamble against the beast. Reviewing the tape, he confirms that having an unbreakable defense means nothing if you know the mechanics. Hitting the weak spot at the perfect frame is all it takes to one-shot anybody. Suddenly, a window pops up saying GG for clearing the fortress. Rubbing his hands together like a total loot goblin, the kid is incredibly hyped to see what dropped. His victory lap gets interrupted by the healer running up to him screaming, "Wait!" The MC just turns his head, clearly entirely out of patience for this clown show. The girl actually has the audacity to demand a cut of the loot, claiming she helped during the fight. She tries using the 2 wiped-out gunners as an excuse to claim her share. Turning his back on the sheer delusion, the hero tells her she should be on her knees thanking him for not returning the friendly fire. He coldly drops that there's a hard limit to how shameless someone can be. Freaked out by his killer aura, the backstabber stutters and instantly drops the demand. She nods rapidly and tries to quietly nope out of there alongside the totally silent assassin. But before the cowardly duo can dip, the warrior's voice cuts through the air like ice. He orders them to freeze right where they stand in a seriously menacing tone. Sweating profusely, the healer tries to hide behind the game's admin rules as a shield. She frantically babbles that player killing results in an instant permaban in real life. The guy just sighs, reminding them they'd already be logged out of life forever if he hadn't carried them. He demands they at least show some proper respect to the guy who saved their sorry hides. Shaking like leaves, the 2 traitors aggressively bow in the most pathetic apology ever. They cry rivers of gratitude for the rescue as reality finally smacks them in the face. With the drama finally squashed, the kid sheathes his incredibly shiny weapon. Dead silence takes over the ruined village once the losers finally run off. The loot system boots up, offering him 3 different reward pulls. Completely shocked, our hero figures the insane difficulty scaling of the dungeon buffed his drop rates. Right in front of him, several glowing, colorful orbs float in the air, showing off broken skills from every class. The massive menu has the kid seeing stars with all the possibilities. Grabbing a glowing purple orb, the MC is absolutely mind-blown by his own RNG. He hypes himself up, realizing he hit the jackpot by pulling a super rare skill book. The tooltip explains that the new passive lets him literally farm XP while he sleeps, skyrocketing his power scaling. To make it even more busted, the multipliers stack for his specific class. Doing the math on the buffs, he realizes he's going to outscale every normal player in record time. Plus, he's totally certain the agility boost is gonna synergize perfectly with his build. Remembering how badly he had to sweat while kiting the giant boss earlier, he clicks accept instantly. He locks in the movement speed passive to avoid catching any more LS in the future. Next up, he picks out a sniper-exclusive skill with the pure intention of flipping it on the market. The guy calculates this single item will easily cover his entire debt. As he absorbs the loot, a massive magical aura engulfs his entire body like a tornado of pure power. Brimming with confidence, he thinks to himself that these god-tier skills could easily break the game's meta. With his eyes locked on the endgame, the hero locks in a hardcore resolution for his run. He swears on his life he's going to clear out every single high-tier vault these dungeons have to offer. Riding the absolute highest high, the kid's ambition breaks through the ceiling. Knowing he's holding all the cheat codes to completely rule this new reality leaves him unbelievably hyped. Now back on the busy city sidewalks, his main hustle jumps right back to the front of his mind. Scrolling through his phone, he starts doing market research on the going rates for rare drops. The auction app shows bids hitting completely ridiculous numbers in seconds. Being a smart hustler, he plans to list it with a low starting bid to trigger a massive bidding war. Out of nowhere, an alert chimes, notifying him of an instant buyout offer. He's honestly shocked by how insanely desperate the player base is for long-range meta skills. Running the numbers, he estimates the bidding will easily smash past 1.2 million by tomorrow. Thrilled with the quick flip, the kid smashes the accept button and secures the bag. Strolling through a completely dead alleyway in the afternoon, he's already mapped out his next moves. The warrior decides his top priority is heading home to beta test his new AFK farming passive. A few hours later, night finally falls over the slums, lighting up the busted old apartment blocks. The whole block goes completely dead silent as the NPCs lock their doors for the night. Inside his tiny room, the kid is already completely knocked out on his mattress after an insanely sweaty day. His abandoned phone is the only thing throwing a weak glow across the dark room. While he's completely out cold, the system detects the sleep state and boots up the special passive. A prompt announces that the Dreamworld training arc has officially started. His consciousness gets downloaded into a completely infinite blank white void. The guy looks around at literally nothing, thinking this training map is giving serious backrooms vibes. Stepping on the invisible floor, he notices the total lack of distractions makes his senses incredibly sharp. Weirdly enough, his avatar in the dream feels exactly like his real-world body. Suddenly, a super edgy shadow figure spawns right behind him. The hero immediately spins around, yelling out asking who the heck has the nerve to crash his nap. A floating UI window drops a quest to terminate the mystery target ASAP. Drawing his blade in a flash, the warrior switches straight into tryhard mode against the threat. Without a second of hesitation, the shadow invader leaps into the air with totally busted agility, winding up a heavy strike. The MC instantly crouches, reading the enemy's attack frames up close. The two blades violently clash, creating a massive fireworks display of sparks. The heavy recoil proves instantly that this dream bot is absolutely not playing on easy mode. Flexing pure raw stats, the kid pushes back against the shadow's blade lock, shoving the bot backward. His solid defense is already showing off the base stats of his combat class. Keeping his guard up, he flashes a smirk, totally approving of the system's hardcore mental trial. The warrior thinks this simulation is insanely cool and the perfect sandbox to test his limits. Launching a lightning-fast counter, he dashes forward, slicing through the air and landing a clean hit on the invader. The shadow gets completely split in half thanks to the downright broken speed of the strike. Staring down the deleted target, he instantly figures out the core mechanic of this crazy grind. The kid realizes the only way to actually level up here is to constantly break his own personal records. Literally answering his thoughts, the system spawns an entire army of shadow clones across the map. Quest markers flood the screen, demanding he instantly clear out the new mob wave. In a matter of seconds, dozens of bots completely surround the MC in the white void. The solo tutorial just instantly got cranked up into a hardcore survival mode. Instead of backing down from the absolutely unfair spawn rate, he points his sword right at the mob without flinching. Overflowing with confidence, the warrior tells all the bots to bring it on. While the grind goes hard in the dream world, the camera cuts to reality inside an ultra-high-tech tower downtown. In the command center, officers are analyzing incredibly detailed holographic heat maps of the fog. Standing in front of a massive jumbotron, an officer gives a super serious rundown of the latest patch notes. He explains that over the last few months, the city's spawn zones have gone totally off the rails. The base director listens intently as the official report proves things are going from bad to worse. The subordinate drops the bomb that elite squads got griefed 5 times this month alone by some criminal syndicate. Looking absolutely furious, the boss slams his desk demanding immediate answers. He orders his top-tier agents to come up with a meta-strat to counter this invisible enemy group ASAP. Right then, the investigator from the bus crash incident walks in carrying her data pads. She brings huge intel regarding a solo player who managed to clear out a fog zone entirely by himself. The hologram replays the exact clip of the kid slicing the giant wolf cleanly in half. The officer points out that solo heroes clearing zones isn't unheard of, but this specific case has something super shady going on. Another screen pops up showing a captured thug getting the 3rd degree from the government feds. The prisoner spilled the beans that not even their big boss predicted the arrival of this mystery warrior. The investigator swears on her badge that this kind of miscalculation is literally a first for the enemy syndicate. The director's eyes go wide as he realizes the massive game-changing potential of this clue. Hyped by the sudden plot twist, the boss jumps out of his chair asking if this kid is the ultimate carry they need to win. He demands to know if the tactical division has managed to dox the hero's exact coordinates yet. Keeping her poker face, the agent confirms the manhunt is already totally underway. She reports they are currently sweeping every single block along the bus crash route to find the mystery VIP. Staring at the MC's digital mugshot glowing on the screen, she lets out a nervous sigh about the search. The investigator secretly crosses her fingers that they can recruit him before the enemy syndicate snatches him up. Miles away from all this high-level espionage, morning finally hits the kid's crusty neighborhood. The guy wakes up, stretching his limbs and letting out a massive yawn after literally fighting the entire night. Walking down the quiet morning streets, he realizes the AFK grind taxed his real-world stamina bar heavily. The guy complains that fighting infinite bots basically drained his HP to 1%. But his itch to check his new stats totally overpowers his sore muscles. Stopping dead in the middle of the empty sidewalk, he decides to pull up his character sheet to see the gains. Booting up the UI, notifications instantly spam the screen showing off his unlocked achievements. His basic sword skills leveled up at a totally busted rate thanks to the sleep grind multiplier. Completely stunned by the numbers flashing on the screen, the warrior breaks into a massive, greedy grin. He can barely wrap his head around the fact that his base skills hit level 3 in a single night. The kid strolls down the block cracking his back, mentioning he woke up feeling like garbage but admits it's basically a cheat code to level up while snoozing. Just then he turns into a shady alley and immediately spots a massive dude blocking the path ahead. The bulky loan shark is chilling on some crates, coldly announcing that it's officially payback time. Stepping right up to the collector without missing a beat, the kid doesn't show a single ounce of Totally thrown off by the lack of panic, the huge guy asks if the kid is seriously the mystery seller who promised the ultra-rare skill book. Not wasting a single frame, the hero instantly spawns the glowing magic item right into his hands. He tosses the incredibly high-tier loot to the big guy, reminding him the deal was to trade the book for global credits. Mind blown by the item's rarity tier, the collector checks the system UI and comments that a low-level warrior must have hit the ultimate RNG jackpot to score this. The transfer hits the MC's account instantly, displaying a fresh balance of 800,213 coins and 50 cents. But the kid instantly spots the scam and aggressively points out the guy shorted him 400,000 coins from their agreed price. The scammer just laughs in his face, telling the kid to check his privilege and be grateful he even bought anything from a trash-tier warrior. Making things way worse, the big guy pulls a heavy-duty shotgun and points it right at the hero's forehead, demanding he hand over the rest of the cash immediately. A colossal shockwave booms through the entire block, rattling the windows of every building around the alleyway. Effortlessly gripping the collector's armed wrist, the MC calmly states he absolutely despises being treated like a scrub. Flexing his killer aura, he makes it perfectly clear that even at level 2, he can easily fold a level 4 clown like him. Totally paralyzed by the kid's brute strength, the lone shark begs for mercy and swears he will literally never disrespect the warrior class again. The bone-crushing pressure on his wrist forces the massive dude to instantly drop his heavy weapon on the concrete. Letting go of the collector's arm, the guy mentions he really doesn't want to trigger the city's admin system and just demands the rest of his money. The account balance quickly refreshes to 1,400,213 coins and 50 cents, including a nice little emotional damage tax. Trying to save his own skin, the big guy hastily hands the magic book back, pathetically claiming their entire business model is built on trust. While the coward bows and spams thank yous, the hero throws a mental party, realizing he finally has the funds to enter the infamous disaster dungeon. Catching the name drop of the ultra-hardcore zone, the lone shark cautiously steps closer to ask what the kid is plotting. Pulling up a hollow screen, the collector explains that this specific raid has been the #1 trending topic on the server lately. He breaks down that the zone is completely overrun by mobs and has become the most brutal survival mode for any player under level 5. The wipeout rate in there is so insane they literally call it the noob blender, but anyone who clears it gets set for life. The screen is packed with forum posts of squads begging for hard carries and auctions for legendary weapons, dropped by the bosses in that exact zone. Seeing $signs, the MC calculates the risk-to-reward ratio is totally worth it, and demands the exact coordinates of the portal right now. Trying to be a good Samaritan for once, the guy warns that a level 2 warrior has literally a 0.1% chance of coming back in one piece. But the kid's intense glare makes it crystal clear that no amount of trash statistics is going to make him back down. Fully trusting his broken VIP system, he claps back that the only way to find out is by jumping in, since he desperately needs to farm gear better than high tier. A short while later, a massive blue portal pulses heavily right in the middle of a packed downtown street. Without a single glance over his shoulder, the kid strides confidently into the magic rift to kick off his hardest raid yet. Back outside, a pre-made squad getting ready to enter spots the solo player and starts laughing, mocking the absolute delusion of a warrior trying to solo the zone. The second his screen loads, a massive red warning window flashes, dropping the objective: survive for 3 whole days in a zombie-infected wasteland. Completely unfazed by the hardcore warning label, the hero just gets hyped and readies up to explore the ruined map. Scouting the layout from the roof of a destroyed building, he spots a totally wrecked metropolis smothered in creepy fog. The dungeon tutorial advises players to evade the starter horde and group up with other players to buff their survival odds. Making sure his defense stats are solid, he equips the high-tier Wolf Guard via his UI, choosing to toggle the visual off so he doesn't attract too much aggro. Heading down the stairs, he completely ignores the game's advice to find a healer, deciding that playing solo is a million times better than carrying dead weight. Roaming the ghost town streets, he spots a looted convenience store and figures he needs to stock up on HP potions and stamina food to last the 72 hours. The automatic glass doors slide open, letting him step into the dark, completely trashed interior of the shop. Looting the aisles, he scores his favorite instant ramen, plus some energy drinks and fresh bandages to handle minor chip damage. His peace is instantly ruined when the massive lone shark violently crashes into the store, sweating buckets and clutching a shotgun. The MC completely does a double take, genuinely shocked to see that the debt collector actually spawned into this death trap dungeon too. Right on the terrified guy's heels, a massive wave of infected zombies smashes through the glass, completely desperate to catch their meal. Literally crying tears of joy, the collector thanks his lucky stars that he bumped into the kid in the middle of this nightmare. Reacting on pure gamer instinct, the system auto-equips the ultra-rare luxury sword right into the warrior's grip. With a seriously explosive dash, the kid slices through the air to body block the front line of the starving mob. Keeping his eyes locked on the hitboxes, he lets out a heavy sigh, complaining that the server's worst problems always seem to lock onto him. He barks at the big guy to stop crying and start providing covering fire, getting a frantic thumbs up from the panicked dude. Without hesitating for a single frame, the hero dives headfirst right into the swarm of infected freaks inside the cramped store. Using totally busted high-speed combos, he unleashes a flurry of lethal strikes, deleting multiple rotting mobs with every swing. Catching his breath after clearing Wave 1, he finds it super weird that the spawn rate just isn't slowing down at all. Checking the mountain of dropped loot on the floor, the kid tries to figure out if all the noise is just pulling more aggro from the streets. Suddenly, an insanely high-pitched, ear-piercing screech blasts his eardrums, completely breaking his combo meter. The street outside is now entirely clogged with an ocean of infected rushing at full sprint, directly toward the noise. The source of the awful sound is some totally grotesque mutated zombie with its chest blown open, blasting sonic waves to call the entire server's horde. Gripping his sword tight, the warrior realizes that Freak's sonic attacks are basically a dinner bell for the entire enemy faction. He keeps slicing through the closest targets and notes the basic mobs are slow, but a fresh wave just completely body-blocked the only exit. Sweating from the insane mob density, the MC decides the absolute top priority is muting that alarm zombie before they get team-wiped. Spinning toward his makeshift teammate, the kid asks for a highly risky favor, telling him to just hold down the trigger to pull all the aggro. Absolutely terrified by the suicide strat, the big guy stammers that a precision-based gunner can't possibly hold off a massive wave at point-blank range. Flexing infinite confidence, the hero fires back that he'll only find out if he tries, and demands he trust the process for exactly 5 seconds. The duo plants their feet firmly by the shattered storefront, totally prepped to execute this absolutely unhinged escape strat. Rapidly tabbing open his status menu, the MC checks his current stat distribution to min-max an advantage for the push. The exact millisecond he starts his sprint, he mentally clicks his unspent stat points straight into his speed multiplier. A notification dings confirming the instant buff, causing the kid's avatar to accelerate at an absolutely game-breaking speed through the wreckage. While the collector dumps his shotgun shells directly into the front line, the warrior uses the momentum to literally double jump over the crossfire. Gliding right over the ocean of rotten mobs, he cuts through the air like a missile locked straight onto the main objective. The screamer zombie just keeps blasting its lungs at the sky, completely oblivious to the lethal blade dropping in from above. With an utterly brutal and clean animation, the hero touches down, delivering a flawless vertical slash that unplugs the creature's mic instantly. Resting his weapon on the floor after the heavy landing, he breathes a sigh of relief, hyping up the fact that his speedrun strat actually worked. But taking out that specific mob instantly triggers a server-wide rage buff, sending every infected in the zone into an absolute frenzy. With the UI flashing that the Horde's attack and defense stats just skyrocketed, the kid's eyes bug out as he realizes the screamer was just a decoy. The real boss finally drops from the ceiling, a horrifying mutation rocking massive razor-sharp claws, ready to turn our MC into sashimi. The freaky creature spams its claw attacks relentlessly at the kid. Keeping his cool, he quickly reads the enemy's attack patterns while dodging the heavy swings. With a lightning-fast counter, the guy flattens the monster against the floor, but instantly notices the enemy's defense buff makes crowd-controlling them like this completely unviable. Reading the room, he sees the spawn rate has finally capped out, and decides the only play is to literally bulldoze a path right through them. Dropping into his combat stance, the hero announces he's going to carve his own lane until he officially hits the #1 spot on the leaderboards. Right on cue, the terrifying roar of the Horde bounces off the store walls as the pressure keeps mounting. Peeking over his shoulder, he asks if his random duo partner is out of ammo yet. Backed into a corner by the zombie rush, the exhausted heavy tries desperately to keep out of the mob's hitboxes. With ice in his veins, the MC coldly calculates that playing the hero for random in this toxic game makes zero sense, and he should totally just dip right now. But the collector gets totally pinned, screaming for a revive and crying that he put all his chips on the kid's carry potential. With zero stamina left to push the mob back, the poor guy struggles just to keep the mutant's teeth away from his face. Letting out a massive, annoyed sigh, the warrior complains that this escort mission is getting insanely tedious. Even though he really just wants to log out of this situation, he knows he's basically forced to intervene. Flaring up a blinding golden aura, he winds up for a heavy attack, deciding he can't let his strongest player title catch any dirt today. Meanwhile, even more nightmare-fuel creatures spawn from the blind spots, completely ready to jump him. With an absolutely locked-in stare, the hero finalizes his strat to clear the board. Launching a totally overpowered dash attack, he slices through the mob wave, burning his max MP. Hyped up by the insane damage numbers, the bulky guy cheers, swearing he always knew the kid had the sauce to clutch it. The guy just keeps yapping, but quickly gets incredibly confused when he sees the kid's next move. Totally ignoring the endless mob spawn, the MC just grabs the collector by the collar and literally super jumps entirely over the zombie army. Dangling midair, the guy's eyes practically pop out of his skull as he screams in absolute terror at the crazy stunt. Hitting the pavement, the kid immediately hits a sprint, complaining that carrying a literal dead weight tanked his stamina bar. To speed up the escape, he pops his dash skill and stomps the ground hard. Slicing through the last few stragglers, he casually drops that breaking out of that mob trap was a total walk in the park. Standing under the morning sun, the kid officially declares they broke the aggro radius. Flexing his ego, he guarantees he's fully geared up to speedrun any obstacle the game throws at him. The duo walks side by side through the completely ruined city, finally exploring the map without having to constantly check their six. Finally chilling out, the big guy admits he was literally shaking before they queued up, but now he thinks the zone isn't actually that toxic. Out of nowhere, a desperate scream for help rips through the dead silence of the empty street. An injured player sprints toward them screaming for a heal, but gets completely obliterated from behind by a massive shadow. The heavy impact on the asphalt reveals a totally colossal nightmare-tier monster, sending shockwaves through the whole block. Shook by the insane boss aura, the hero questions what kind of broken mutation just spawned. In a literal flash, the giant zooms past them with speed hack-level velocity, vanishing down the road. Totally confused by the monster's AI, the kid notes the threat just despawned, and they definitely weren't on its aggro table. Looking down at the deleted player on the floor, the heavy, tense vibe instantly crashes back down on the warrior. A little while later, the duo finally makes it to the safe zone, where a bunch of players are AFK resting, just glad they didn't get wiped. A veteran sniper walks up, casually mentioning they had totally insane RNG to arrive exactly right now. Keeping their guards up, the MC and the collector just stare the guy down without dropping a single word. The vet explains that the standard mobs here are basically harmless right now, and the real raid boss was that giant. This makes the kid ask why they didn't get targeted. Super chill, the dude breaks down the boss mechanics. The giant only hunts at dawn and dusk, and staying inside a building is the only counterstrat unless the boss is still hungry. He wraps up the tutorial by revealing a hard-coded rule. The beast always deletes exactly 2 players per day, absolutely 0 exceptions. The party finds a spot to camp in the shelter, trying to process the lore dump after their chaotic entry. Booting up the safe zone terminal, the shop UI shows the absolutely insane point prices for basic survival items. Scanning the shop list, the kid finds it incredibly sus that basic bottled water costs way more than any other consumable. Out loud, he asks if clean water is seriously the most heavily contested loot drop in this hellhole. Suddenly, a panicked old NPC interrupts the kid, aggressively warning him not to touch the sink. The old-timer warns that the tap water is totally corrupted and tells him to scavenge somewhere else, leaving the hero deeply weirded out by the guy's completely dead eyes. Zooming in on the details, the MC notices the old man's pathing and behavior are incredibly stiff and robotic. Staring straight down the drain, he spots something absolutely cursed creeping out of the metal pipes. Everything clicks perfectly when he realizes those freaky black roots are the exact same ones that exploded out of the deleted player earlier. Backing away from the sink trap, the guy hits up the main terminal to check the server leaderboards and the point exchange rates. Thinking out loud, he plans to bulk buy 10 bottles of water, dropping a comment that melee combat drains the hydration meter super fast. Overhearing this, an arrogant swordsman starts heavily mocking the idea, calling the kid a total noob for wasting points and claiming melee classes are always the first to catch a game over. Ready to throw hands, the heavy steps up to defend his duo, swearing on his life he just watched this kid output insane DPS. Jumping into the beef, the toxic sniper sarcastically suggests the rookie should play gatekeeper tonight, since his entire class is just designed to be a meat shield. Totally lost on the logic, the hero asks if they wouldn't all be perfectly safe inside the shelter's barrier anyway. Dropping the actual hardcore rules, the vet reveals the mob wave gets a massive rage buff at night and wrecks the building. Plus, if any mobs survive, the giant boss spawns in. Flexing absolute fake friend vibes, the dude admits that's the exact reason they need a live bait stationed outside. Sighing at the absolute audacity of this squad, the MC accepts the aggro role while the sniper casually tells him to try not to get zeroed out there. With the server clock ticking down to nightfall, the shelter preps for another insanely sweaty survival phase. Hanging around the sinks with bodies on the floor, the sniper tries to stealthily dip, claiming he's going to loot other rooms for water. Standing his ground, the hero calls cap on the excuse, pointing out there's literally no way to get items without spending points at the terminal. The cowardly swordsman just laughs at him, asking if the kid actually bought into the fake rules, and drops the bomb that the boss always tracks the player with the highest point score. Furious, the collector realizes they just got completely scammed, but the traitor casually notes it's too late since the kid is already rank 1 on the leaderboard. Connecting the dots at lightspeed, the warrior figures out these rats wanted to quietly farm points, while using him as a homing beacon for the megaboss. Overflowing with confidence, he announces that if their big brain strat was to sacrifice him, the whole plan is going to blow up in their faces spectacularly. Time speeds up, and during the kid's AFK rest period, the system drops a notification that his growth passive just leveled up to 2 automatically. The map outside the safe zone stays completely pitch black as the nighttime mobs patrol the area. Out of nowhere, the traders start completely losing their minds when they hear an ear-shattering roar, totally confused why the boss spawned if the area was clear. The panic hits critical mass when they realize one of their own party members just mutated into a nightmare zombie. A massive earthquake starts violently shaking the shelter's walls, making the cowards absolutely freak out. With zero warning, the concrete ceiling totally caves in, exploding into a massive cloud of dust and heavy debris. The colossal raid boss crashes into the safe house, wrecking everything, and snatches the swordsman with absolutely busted strength. Watching the cinematic play out totally chill, the MC notes the boss switched targets and sarcastically thanks the squad for volunteering as human shields instead of him. Totally boxed in, the traitor eats a completely devastating, one-shot finisher from the beast, getting sent straight back to the lobby the hard way. Breaking down the gory scene, the MC realizes the boss totally ignored the highest score mechanic. After all, his point total was miles higher than anyone else's, but the beast completely blew past him without a second glance. Holding up a weird black root, he puts together that the boss's actual target lock is hard-coded to hunt anyone infected by this cursed plant. He remembers the sketchy sync trap, realizing the entire leaderboard system was literally just bait programmed by the devs to troll players. The guy firmly drops the truth bomb. The real targets are the ones who interacted with the building's tap water. The incredibly massive raid boss flexes its oppressive aura right in front of them in the totally trashed hallway. With the monster still clutching the traitor's dropped loot, the hero explains the boss was always tracking whoever drank the corrupted water. The two surviving players are left utterly jaw-dropped, totally unable to process this insane plot twist about the dungeon's trap. Staying perfectly calm, the warrior reflects that it's completely standard for players to fall for such a totally toxic trap designed by the system itself. He points out that noobs always desperately hoard their points to buy the safe bottled water from the cash shop. But the second their resources hit zero, pure desperation forces them to drink from the sinks, totally unaware it paints a massive target on their backs. Completely unfazed by the giant threat, the MC draws his sword with absolute confidence, ready to trigger the final boss phase. With a lightning-fast dash, he lands a perfectly clean slash that severs the dark roots creeping into the creature's path. Pissed off by the sheer disrespect, the boss instantly counters, throwing out a massive heavy attack with its razor claws. The absolutely totally destructive impact craters the floor, forcing the kid to smoothly backstep so he doesn't get flattened. Right then, the hero yells at the other survivors to sprint away immediately, warning them the boss just entered its enrage phase. Taking the frontline aggro, he orders them to stay far away from any water sources while he solos the monster's advance. The absolute unit of a beast charges forward with screen-shaking footsteps, funneling 100% of its aggro strictly onto the kid who challenged it. Thrilled to be the main target, he kites the giant straight into a tight hallway, doing the math that nerfing its movement space gives him a huge buff. But the boss goes absolutely feral, throwing out high-speed combos that literally tear through the air in the cramped space. The MC manages to parry the lethal hit at the absolute last possible frame using his pay-to-win sword. The raw physics of the clash are so incredibly broken it violently launches the guy backward, completely overriding his poise stat. He slides through the rubble until he finally manages to plant his boots back on the ground after the bone-crushing knockback. Checking his HP and stamina, the warrior realizes that trying to unga-bunga this boss with pure melee is basically a suicide run. So he decides to dive even deeper into the dungeon's map, looking for an even tighter room to force a close-quarters brawl. Spotting the beast creeping through the shadows, he totally camps his spot, waiting patiently for the exact pixel-perfect rain. The giant throws a completely devastating linear punch that would normally send any standard player straight to the game over screen. Flexing his totally busted agility stat, the kid practically slides right under the monster's arm, proving exactly why his class is top tier. Capitalizing on the flawless opening, he aggressively spins his avatar and winds up for a brutal uppercut counter. But the boss's face just flashes with a terrifying glint in its eyes, showing absolutely zero signs of a weak spot. Completely blindsiding the kid, the beast literally uses its own armored arm to tank the heavy blade without dropping a single HP point. The hero is absolutely stunned, mind blown that the AI actually managed to perfectly read his surprise mix-up. Giving zero breathing room, the monster counters by spinning into a brutal AoE attack, forcing the guy to burn his dodge roll to escape. Backed into a corner, he leaps straight into an abandoned storage room, desperately trying to buy a few frames and drop the boss's aggro. Hugging the wall, the MC finds it incredibly sus that the massive beast managed to drop his target lock so fast in here. He activates stealth walking through the pitch-black warehouse, trying to calculate what the heck just glitch happened in the hull. Keeping his danger sense dialed to the max, he creeps carefully through the trash-filled room looking for a new exit. Out of nowhere, the insanely huge hitbox of the dungeon leader spawns directly behind him with absolute zero audio cues. The kid sweats bullets, completely lost on how this freak tracked him down without having direct line of sight. Right then, a low-level zombie leaps out of the dark, aiming directly for the warrior's throat. With an ultra-precise and lethal animation, the hero deletes the trash mob without breaking a sweat. Analyzing the boss's bizarre tracking script, the light bulb finally goes off and he realizes the beast is practically blind. He figures out that the swarm of standard infected acts like a massive CCTV network, giving the blind boss exact pings on the target's location. Now fully understanding the boss mechanics, the guy decides to focus on wiping out the scout mobs first to completely scramble the giant's radar. Abusing his totally broken speed stat, he rushes the mob of lesser zombies and starts completely shredding everything in his path. Left without its Wi-Fi connection, the dungeon boss gets totally soft-locked, just roaring blindly at empty space. The MC breathes a heavy sigh of relief, confirming the beast instantly drops aggro the second its support network goes offline. Meanwhile, the sun finally sets on the server map outside, officially kicking off the absolute sweatiest night phase of the. A random earthquake suddenly triggers the fuse boxes, sending heavy sparks flying down the abandoned hallways. Noticing the environmental change, the hero stays locked in, trying to scan for whatever new random event just popped up. Down the flooded corridor, the collector and the sniper are sprinting for their lives, desperately trying to escape the rising water level. One of the dudes accidentally steps into the dirty puddle and drops to his knees, as the debuff instantly hits his character model. In a completely cursed animation, the guy immediately morphs into an aggro zombie, dropping the final lore bomb on where these mobs actually come from. Jumping up to avoid the toxic water, the kid pieces together that there were never any actual zombies in this game from day one. He realizes the overpriced cash shop water was literally just bait to force broke players to drink the cursed tap water instead. Spotting the ceiling lights flickering on, he hypes up the fact that the building's power grid is still online. Rocking a completely dialed-in look, he guarantees he just found the ultimate cheese strat to completely humiliate the boss. Standing right in front of the elevator shaft, he quickly deduces that if the power is on, the heavy machinery has got to be operational. Speedrunning through the halls with a massive brain strat, the guy pushes forward totally sure that the win condition is officially his. With the scout mobs pinging his location to the blind leader again, the entire plan literally boils down to baiting the big guy into the shaft. Fully panicking, the sniper accuses the hero of pulling all the aggro and putting the entire party at risk of getting wiped. Ice cold, the warrior just tells the coward to shut his mouth and stay out of the sewer water if he wants to keep his account. The totally massive monster charges relentlessly through the dark corridor, absolutely tunnel-visioned on the chase. Reaching the checkpoint, the kid punches the elevator button to force the heavy doors to slide open instantly. The giant leaps menacingly straight at the kid's back, totally winding up for a one-hit KO. Staying completely chill until the final frame, the MC holds his ground while waiting for the door animation to finish. Sliding in with crazy speed, he slips through the metal doors right before the boss's hitbox connects. Once inside the claustrophobic box, he doesn't waste a single tick, delivering a massive slash to absolutely demolish the ceiling panel. Abusing the new gap, he uses his max strength stat to vault himself right onto the roof of the metal box. Flexing his unbreakable confidence, he announces it's officially time for the ultimate counterattack phase to start. Camping on top of the dark elevator, he stares down the shaft waiting for the boss's AI to make the final blunder. The dungeon leader violently crashes into the space, and the hero mentally pops off, confirming the mob took the bait perfectly. Keeping his momentum, the kid leaps off the cab, aiming to wedge himself into a tight gap between the wall and the elevator. He aggressively grapples the concrete ledges of the open space, securing a temporary safe zone in the pitch-black shaft. Relying purely on raw base stats, the guy starts speed climbing the structure before the monster at the bottom can ping him. Hanging in the elevator shaft, the MC debates the most optimal camping spot to set up his ultimate trap. Getting super hyped, a galaxy brain idea suddenly clicks on exactly how to cheese this encounter permanently. Scanning the environment, the kid notices the cab is literally hanging by a single heavily damaged cable, and plans to totally stagger the beast right there. Posted up on a side beam, the hero throws a rock at the elevator to trigger an audio decoy and pull the monster's aggro. Catching the sound cue, the gigantic boss looks up and instantly locks onto the exact coordinates of the noise. Without hesitating for a frame, the monster takes a massive leap straight onto the roof of the hanging elevator in the dark. Staring down the target from a distance, the warrior stays totally icy while the freak places itself precisely in the kill zone. With the bait fully swallowed, the kid draws his overpowered sword, totally ready to clip the final part of his master plan. Launching an incredibly aggressive jump, the colossal beast rushes straight for the beam where the kid is camping. But the MC's reaction time is just better. He dives right into the air, aiming a hyperfast strike with his magic blade. Riding the momentum of his fall, he lands an absolutely surgical cut perfectly through the main steel cable holding the elevator up. The insane raw damage of the blade snaps the metal support completely in half in a single frame. Feeling gravity kick in, the boss lets out a totally desperate roar as it starts free-falling straight down with the heavy cab. The monster desperately tries to grab the edges of the shaft, but its grip slips and it plunges all the way to the bottom. Diving bomb style right after his target, the hero points his weapon down, confidently stating he's going to permanently end this run right now. Dropping at terminal velocity, the kid focuses 100% of his MP and declares the boss fight is officially over. A totally devastating vertical strike tears through the air, hitting the monster dead center mid-fall. The giant's character model violently slams into the bottom of the shaft, kicking up a massive smoke screen of dust. Touching down flawlessly, the warrior sheathes his sword and officially checks Beat the Blind Boss off his quest log. Sprinting down the hall, the collector and the sniper show up, totally blown away and hyping him up for soloing the raid boss. However, the MC gets highly suspicious when he realizes the dungeon cleared pop-up hasn't hit his screen yet. Out of nowhere, a freaky vibration rattles the walls, instantly dragging the hero's eyes back up to the busted elevator roof. Dropping straight out of the pitch black, a basic zombie falls from above, completely tangled up in a massive pile of those cursed roots. Totally shocked by the visual, the kid's eyes pop wide open as he tries to compute how the trash mobs even spawned down here. Right then, the traitors completely lose their minds when they realize the infected bodies are still active and standing up from the toxic water. The zombies aggressively start crawling toward the squad, totally locked onto their new targets. The final puzzle piece clicks, and the hero realizes deleting the giant leader was literally never the main objective of this survival mode. Linking the lore drops the corrupted water, the roots, and the mob figures out the entire system is perfectly synced up. With that, he deduces the real final boss is something way worse, that's actively polluting the city's entire sewer grid. Completely ignoring the swarm, the kid pushes forward solo into the pipes, absolutely set on finding the hidden underground boss room. Trekking through the damp tunnels, the guy steps onto a floor totally covered in totally gross, pulsating red roots. The map opens up into a literally colossal chamber that's completely flooded with tentacles, acting as the main hive for the virus. Scanning the nightmare fuel room, the warrior just flashes a smirk, totally validating his big brain theory. Dead in the center, a gigantic, absolutely grotesque mass covered in super creepy eyes just stares down the player, invading its spawn point. Dripping with confidence, the hero checks his stance and states that wiping this ugly mutant is the real win condition of the raid. He knows that pulling the plug on the infection source will permanently clear the dungeon map. With 0 warning frames, a massive root whip lashes out lethally, forcing the kid to pop a dodge roll to survive. Slicing the tentacles midair, he reads the mob's coordinated attack patterns and decides he needs to punch a hole right through their defense. Landing perfectly in the sea of red, the MC holds his blade in guard stance, totally ready to sweat. Multiple whips strike from his blind spot, trying to literally pin him down with wildly broken speed. Relying on sheer twitch reflexes, the guy parries the heavy rush using the flat side of his ultra-rare sword. Abusing the parry stun window, he spins midair, dropping totally precise crits on the zombies spawning out of the floor. The relentless pressure of the mob phase starts draining him, making the hero sweat bullets against the totally unfair spawn rate. He heavily blocks with his weapon to tank a massive overhead plunge that kicks up debris everywhere. Slid backward by the raw physics, the kid figures out he'll definitely get corner-trapped if he just spams block. Completely locked into winning, he realizes he has to instantly flip the script and go completely hyper-aggressive. Scanning the arena while desperately kiting, he spots an electrical panel and wonders if this zone still has active power. Analyzing the disgusting roots hugging the wall, the guy clocks that the boss is literally using the corrupted water as its blood vessels. Flashing that genius smile, he cooks up an absolute 200 IQ play to literally hijack the boss' own bloodstream. Sprinting exactly in the opposite direction, the hero totally BMs the giant monster, pulling max aggro in a completely crazy flex. The massive freak totally takes the bait, firing off dozens of raging tentacles straight at the moving target. With a highly precise spin, the MC lands a massive critical slash right on the main water pipe, totally flooding the entire floor. Standing in the middle of the massive puddle, he fully charges his weapon with lightning magic and announces the final phase has officially begun. The warrior violently jams his sword into the soaked floor, unleashing an absolutely absurd high-voltage AoE blast across the entire room. The insanely violent electrical currents instantly chain through the wet roots, using them as the perfect conductive wire. With literally 0 dodge windows, the entire zombie horde eats the critical shock damage right to the face and instantly crashes. The sheer DPS of the electricity is so totally broken it vaporizes the mobs on contact, leaving only burnt polygons on the floor. Taking massive critical hit damage, the grotesque mass splits open screeching, exposing its glowing weak spot core in the process. Tasting the W, the kid raises his glowing hand and announces he's about to drop the absolute ultimate finisher. With an absolutely savage dash, the warrior vaults through the air, screaming for the totally gross monster to finally log off. An energy-charged vertical slash tears perfectly through the creature's massive core from top to bottom in a single, flawless hit. The magical recoil of the ultimate attack literally explodes through the whole map, lighting up the area with aggressive lightning strikes. Totally unable to tank the broken DPS, The red mutation instantly starts deleting itself into shiny digital pixels. The system drops a massive GG screen, congratulating the MC for clearing the disaster zone and unlocking his insanely cracked loot. Taking the kid totally by surprise, an incredibly sick-looking demonic chest literally spawns floating right in the middle of the wiped room. Dragging themselves into the boss room right after the fight, the cowardly duo tries to play nice, insisting the hero loots the chest first. Playing the stoic badass, the warrior says no and tells them to just grab their trash drops already, internally thinking he really needs to hide his VIP UI. A glowing pop-up window tells the party they have to instantly evac the zone the second they claim their drops. Sweating bullets from the absolutely heavy aura in the room, the sniper can literally feel the kid's killer glare burning a hole in his back. Absolutely terrified of ticking off the guy who just carried them, the traitor opens a totally basic chest and pathetically squeaks that a low-tier item is perfectly fine for him. Finding their totally fake humility hilarious, the guy smiles and confirms he will absolutely gladly take the premium drops. The exact second the duo teleports out, the kid's exclusive VIP panel boots up, giving him the option to pull up to 3 ultra-rare items from the raid. A bunch of magic gacha cards flip over on the screen, revealing highly valuable weapons, and the hero instantly snags an absolutely cracked holy pistol right away. Taking his time checking out the rest of the pulls, the hidden reward system just chills waiting for the new millionaire to lock in. Scanning the floating cards, the warrior realizes the other 3 options are completely garbage for his build, but the holy pistol alone is totally enough to zero out his debt. Right after, he sighs about the hidden rewards also being totally useless drops, openly complaining he'd much rather have rolled shared vision or mind control passives. In a completely insane twist, 2 brand new legendary gold windows pop up, instantly confirming he just unlocked those exact 2 rare skills he just complained about. The UI flashes the action control card, proving he literally just bagged the power to totally manipulate enemy mobs. Looking at this completely ridiculous RNG, the guy is left entirely stunned, totally failing to process what just glitched. Reviewing the tape, he knows reward pools are strictly hard-coded, leading him to heavily suspect the admin system literally heard him talking out loud. The MC totally realizes how massive this is, since the game literally just spoon-fed him the exact meta skills he needed for his next play. Feeling super paranoid, he checks his corners in the empty, wrecked boss hallway, seriously wondering if a dev or someone is permanently spectating his run. Rocking a completely serious look, the hero connects the puzzle pieces in his brain, hitting a super wild theory about the true nature of this whole map. Then he just casually strolls toward the massive iron gate to finally extract from the dungeon map. The camera completely zooms in on the official fog control admin logo stamped right on the wall. Leaving the zone, the kid remembers those corrupted mobs literally never path into fortresses, completely deducing that some player definitely dragged the raid boss there on purpose. He matches the fact that someone is using an exploit to kite the beasts with the exact crowd control skills he just pulled, instantly realizing the entire event was a setup. Chilling outside the portal, the MC flexes massive confidence, bragging that he finally scored a solid lead on what's glitching the servers. Totally hyped by the lore mystery, he swears to himself he's going to fully dig into this questline until he exposes the whole conspiracy. It's glaringly obvious to him that some toxic guild is totally pulling the strings behind the mob invasions, and now he's basically holding their IP address. The system spams the mission complete banner, showering the warrior with ultra-premium loot while he instantly power levels twice in a single clear. His status screen refreshes instantly, confirming the kid just hit level 4 and unlocked highly exclusive perks to keep steamrolling the game. Loading back into the city hub, he whips his phone out of his pocket, completely buzzing over his totally busted combat stat buffs. The auction app is literally blowing up with insane bids for the pistol, and our guy instantly accepts the buyout price of 3,400,000 coins. Wrapped up in a super intense magical aura, the hero celebrates the huge W because not only is he debt-free, but he also absolutely stacked his inventory with broken new moves. A little while later, he rolls up right to the front of the massively huge mega mall, designed specifically for class holders in the middle of downtown. Casually handing over his farmed gear, the banking UI immediately chimes, proving his account just skyrocketed past 5 million credits. But his chill vibe crashes immediately when some corporate suit surrounded by bodyguards steps up, sarcastically roasting a low-level warrior for flipping such high-tier loot. Holding his ground perfectly, the kid glares right at the rich snob and brutally asks if the guy is actually trying to buy something or just totally stalking his profile. The suit completely ignores the burn, totally acting smug and pointing out that a drop of that rarity isn't something a useless scrub just casually finds on the ground. Having zero patience for the fake interrogation, the warrior hits him with an absolutely killer glare and tells the corporate clown to just touch grass. Leaving the totally annoying NPCs talking to themselves, the hero turns his back and walks down the stairs, casually continuing his day. Checking his digital wallet, he lets out a heavy sigh seeing he's only got 213 coins left, complaining about being broke again but highly relieved his debt is gone. While walking down a completely dead alleyway, the kid catches the reflection in a traffic mirror and instantly spots shady guys in suits totally tailing him. Super chill about getting tracked, the MC thinks to himself it was entirely obvious those corporate clowns would send goons to gank him. Inside the dark alley, the two thugs frantically scan the area, panicking and yelling at each other that they absolutely cannot lose the target's blip. But they hit a dead end and totally start freaking out when they realize the kid literally just vanished into thin air. Watching the two absolute bots from the top of some scaffolding, the hero casually eavesdrops on their whining without making a single sound. He instantly puts together that trying to flip legendary gear as a low-level account just paints a massive target on his back in this server. Locking onto a massive digital billboard, he checks out the Fog Control Agency's ad looking for cracked players for ultra-high-paying bounties. Totally pumped by the job listing, the kid figures that joining the official guild will mask his totally busted stats, plus give him admin access to hidden dungeon maps. Without missing a beat, he walks right into the corporation's hypermodern lobby, which is completely packed with high-tier squads looking for quests. Approaching the front desk, the kid asks how to queue up for the guild, and the NPC receptionist asks him to link his player ID. The hero's profile pops up on the main screen, completely exposing his supposedly trash-tier level 4 warrior status to the room. The hardcore vets in the lobby immediately start cracking up, totally flaming the kid for his low rank, but he just tells the whole room to shut up without breaking a sweat. Pulled in by the drama, a bearded officer rocking a trench coat walks over asking what the heck is going on and immediately spots the rookie's insane attitude. Acting super cocky, the vet warns him they definitely don't have the bandwidth to babysit noobs, claiming disaster spawn rates are at an all-time low and their roster is full. Flexing unbelievable swagger, the MC shuts the veteran right down, warning him that slacking on defense like that is an incredibly fast way to get totally wiped out. To absolutely prove his point and completely silence the suits, the kid aggressively calls his shot, guaranteeing a major disaster is going to spawn right by the central plaza today. Triggered by the total disrespect, the officer accuses the hero of being a toxic troll and tells him to stop the cap, but the kid just absorbs the hate with a totally relaxed smirk. Walking away toward the exit, the MC casually tells the officer to hit his DMs the second the server alarms trigger, and warns he's charging a massive premium on his carry fee. Staring intensely at the rookie's back, the bearded vet just grumbles that the kid has a seriously weird, sus vibe going on. Already chilling in the super bright plaza that's completely packed with standard NPCs, the adventurer mentions he totally recalculated the enemy spawn algorithm after finding out it was rigged. Checking out the skyscrapers, he pieces together that while the massive fogs are locked to dungeons, the smaller aggro zones are actively being dropped right on top of crowded areas. Pulling up a mental minimap, the kid tracks the previous spawn points pushing straight toward downtown, perfectly predicting the exact cooldown timer for the next strike. Sitting completely relaxed on a bench by the fountain, he just chills and waits for the exact frame the next disaster event is going to drop right on his head. At that literal exact second, bright red emergency sirens start absolutely blaring across the entire mall, pinging the server that a brand new anomaly just breached. Back at the admin base, the bearded officer completely panics when the alarm drops, cursing his lungs out as he realizes the troll rookie was 100% right. Loving the absolute chaos blowing up behind him, the warrior adjusts his posture, fully validating that his big brain read on the meta was literally flawless. A totally terrifying tornado of dark magic violently rips open right in the middle of the square, making all the NPCs scatter and run for their lives. Strutting straight into the danger zone with absolute maximum drip, the MC announces he just proved he's the real deal and demands the agency pay top dollar for his carry service.